Yeah. Right. Hello, everybody, online and in the room. We are going to tackle a portrait in monochrome this week. Whether we finish it or not this week, I don't know. We might have to finish it next week, but we'll see how we get on. This particular picture might not have enough information in it for me, but I would very much like to do it, so I'm going to try it. It's a picture of my mum having a bit of fun with my dad's hat. When he was, because he was a simple sailor, you know. I think he was actually second lieutenant when this was taken. So she is about 26, so that's nice. And I'm following a set of an order of work which has been suggested by a particular book I've been reading about by a portrait artist. And this is how he starts off when he's doing portraits. So I thought it might be a good idea if we did the same thing. So, and I will in fact place up where you can see it, an order of work when I finished it. So you don't actually have to remember this order. I'll put the list up so that you can say, oh, that's the next thing to do. Okay. Now, I want to do it bigger than what I've got here. I want to do it reasonably life size, and the head life size is about 10 inches. Well, my span is about 8. So if I put the chin about there, so all I'm doing is just putting a mark to say that's where the chin is. The chin is there. The top of the head will be about there, but in my particular picture, she's got a hat on, as you so rightly put it, and I've got to give that hat enough room. So if I look at my picture and I take that distance and see how many times that fits into the face, right. Oh dear, I'm going to have to put the chin lower down. Yes, it is, practically, right. So what I'm doing, sorry, I've lost my ear. The purpose of the ear is so you can hear the recording, but it won't make any difference to you, Judith, because you don't listen to recordings. Right, so I'll put where I think the top of the hat should be, about there. That's going to be the top of my picture. Because she's facing forward, I can put the face in the middle of the sheet. If your person is facing slightly one way or the other, if the person is looking that way, move the head this way on the paper a bit so that they've got room to look on the paper. And of course, if they're looking that way, you move the head that way. And if they're looking up, you drop the head so that they've got room to look up. So you're placing the head where you think. Right. So that's a big hat. That's frightening. So the chin is about there. Okay. I'm going to doubt this. Right. Okay. So the next thing you need to look. So I've got a mark there, say that's the top. A mark here, say that's the bottom. And of course, her chin is dropped actually because she's got a big grin. However, we'll see how we get on. The next thing I need to do is the width of the portrait there. And again, if I take that and I do that, that is about, let me see, that's about 8 inches. So the width is about here. Again, just a mark, right? So what I have done is plan where my various points actually are. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to just take the color and using small straight lines, put in the outside shape of the whole thing that I'm going to put in. So I'm not drawing the face, I'm not drawing the hat or anything like that. I'm just doing the outside edge. We've done this before, haven't we? So, Now there's the chin. So I think that comes further down. Then there's this line here. And there's a line. Outside edge. Okay, outside edge. Keep coming, Steve. Outside edge. This comes in. It comes in there. So it comes in here. Right, so this is, of course, the hat is at a cant, isn't it? Right, so I'm saying that point there is that point there. So we've got a little, so it's that sort of thing. And the jacket comes here. Right, we've got chin. There's something about that. Right, so that's, I hope I've got it right, is more or less what it looks like. So that's the second thing to do. The next thing to do is to separate the face from the hair, and in this case, the hat. So there is a sort of curve about there, isn't there? Sort of, it comes up. I'm not attempting to put in the, I think that hat is actually bigger. Actually. However, we'll carry on. We'll do as we're told. Right, okay. Okay, and this is a collar, which is coming around here somewhere. And we have and here, the chin comes out there a bit and down, and she's got a necklace on. Right, okay. Yes. So the next thing we do after that is to find the central axis. Now, don't forget that the skull is a rounded shape, more like a rugby ball than, or even a football, depending on your antecedents. So although the axis is more or less straight, it will be coming on a curve, slight curve. So the axis of the face is nearly straight in this case. Now, if your head is turned that way, the axis of the face running from between the eyes down the nose to the chin through the lips is going to be curved over this way. And if the person's facing that way, it's going to be curved this way. Remember, and that's quite important because you have to get the light and shade right by looking at this central axis. So I've got the central axis now. So the next thing to do is to map in the features. Where are the various features? Well, the first that we want to get in is the eyes. And the eyes come about here, and she is looking straight forward. The distance from there to there, I think that axis is not quite right. And again, this is on a curve. So you'll get the, it comes about here on this line here. And the pupil is about there. In that one. And about there in that one. See, I'm not drawing the eye. I'm just making a mark. The bottom of the nose is about there. And we've got the chin down there. And the mouth, now if the mouth is closed, you'll have a straight line, or even if it's not so wide open as that, if you look at this fella, you've got a fairly straight black line where the top lip is. In this case, because her mouth is open, what you're seeing is the dark inside the mouth. So we've got to get that more or less right. So we have the nose there. And then the mouth, that's not right. Actually, nose is slightly higher up. If I look at where that is, in fact, I've got those wrong, haven't I? Right, okay, start again, Steve. I'm trying to put the face on using that, the skull is that, but the skull is actually up here. Try again. Okay, see? Even Miss can get it wrong. The eyes are up here. Right, so the eyes are there more. Golly. Okay, ma'am. And the nose is on a level where that comes in. So if I've got that in the right place, the nose ought to be about here. So maybe I didn't bring that in the right place. However, we'll carry on. The mouth is here. And that comes in that sort of shape around here. Is that right? More or less right there. Okay. And we've got the shadow under the bottom lip just there. Okay. Right. So I've just put in the features where they are, or where they ought to be if I've got my proportions right. Okay. Now I need now to divide the light from the dark. So there is a dark here. There's the badge, which is canted over to one side, and then there's more dark here. There's the dark under the peak of the hat, so that is there. Because the face is the shape it is, we have marks here. There's the nose, the nostrils, and that comes out like that. Good thing my mother isn't with us anymore. No, dear. She was an embroiderer, among other things. I think I got that chin too long. Yeah, so we'll pull that in a bit. Okay, right. Now, there are darks down here, but they're so small. We've got a shadow here, haven't we? There's a shadow here. And there's a bit of a shadow here, passed by her chin. Pardon? Yeah, this whole eye needs to be, I need to put in the shape of the eye now. So we've got shadow here and a line for the eyebrow. And then through here, we've got a shape. And this shape is like that. Right, and that goes off quite a bit there. This one here starts about there, there's a shadow there, a short line there. And this eye comes from this shadow, goes through the pupil, and you've got a mark there, and a mark there, right? So I think that nose is too high. I'm going to bring it down. I think I probably need to adjust the outside, because my drawing skills are not what they should be. Right. There's a little shadow under the nose there, a little pointy shadow, which is quite interesting, and the nostrils from there. And then if we look at the mouth, shadow here. This is quite a strong shadow. There, right? This is in shadow. There really goes. There's a bit of a shadow there. This part here is in shadow too, down here. Right. Anything like me, ma'am? However, we'll see how we get on. Right. So I've got more or less a face where I'm not trying for a likeness. Likenesses come with concentration and careful study. That's a bit further out there. Right. Okay, so I've mapped in more or less. There is quite a shadow here. These are the half tones, if you like. And the bottom of the face will also be in shadow because the face is rounded. So, when you pass the midpoint, you're going to have a bit of a shadow. Right, okay. That is ridiculous. Looks like a piggy. Let's see if I can be kinder to my poor benighted mother. What? Of course, she now looks like somebody's biffed her on the nose because of the shadow. But if you can, never mind, these things happen. Right, now because I'm using pastel, when I want to go into different tones and colors, I will use lighter and darker pastels. This is what happens about pastels. That's the dark one, and then there are these half tones. Yeah, that one. And finally, that one. So those are the colors the tones I can play with. I'm not using a different color. I'm thinking about the tones and half tones on the face. So having defined the darks, I think I need to put the darks in a bit more aggressively where I see them. You can always lighten them. One of the things about pastels is you can go lighter. And then there's this necklace here, which is dark and comes down. That is dark there. This is actually quite dark in here because it's under the hat. So I can really push that shadow. Which makes sense of the shadow that's coming here. This is very dark in here. And goes up there, which is also very dark. And I suppose, in some sense, her hair is dark too. I can put the light in afterwards. This is very much darker than I've allowed for. So I'm putting the darks in with real strength. Quite so, the light. That is not quite so pointy. Come on, ma'am, you can do better than that. Right, so if I take the next tone down, which give me a half tone, I can start to work in, putting in the half tones. Again, half tones over here. Don't forget the eyes go in, so you will get a can you still see? Right. See, these tones aren't quite so strong. And then there's this upper lip. Go back to the darks and get that dark, really dark in there. If I look at the shape of that dark, it's got its own, you've just got to believe it. Right. Okay. I'm still doing half tones. This one comes round here. This one comes down here. There's a half tone under the cheek there. So I can just lightly, and on this side to a lesser extent. I should imagine there is actually a bit of a shadow coming down here. Can't see it, so I'm fudging it if you like. Right, so I can go a little bit lighter now. Can I? Half tones. There's one under here, this shadow under the chin. Not got the right shape. And here, right. So a half tone under the chin. And it is open because of the laughter in her face. Shall we say I bit off more than I can chew here? Don't mind, you know. Well, that was the lighter one. Right, okay. So over here it becomes a bit lighter. All the time I'm working, I'm trying to see the shape of what I'm putting in and hopes that the shape of what I'm putting in will, in fact, start to produce the face eventually. This comes around more here. Right. I can go for lighter tones. Oh, sorry, got up here, didn't I? There's the peak of the hat, which comes around here. And then there's a light streak, which is here. Have I got that high enough? It shades off as it comes down here. So I'm not going to get it finished by any manner of means. Right. Bring the dark. Right. And there's the badge, which is at an angle. Eventually, you get onto the light bits. It will improve your nose no end. There is the light catching the face there, catching the top of the cheekbones here. Probably would have been better, not quite so light as this, but that might have been better, that tone. Yeah, she looks terrible. Sorry, ma'am. Nothing like distance to improve the view. No, I'm not going to finish this time, so. Do you remember I was telling you, if the light is such that you're not getting a good shape to the face, you're not going to get a good, portrait out of it. I think I can darken that a bit more. And then yeah. there will be a highlight on the tip of the nose, there always is. And you sometimes catch the nostrils. I'm not going to do the eyes as white, because the eyes aren't white. I'm not going to do the teeth white either, because they aren't white. Should ought to have had a creamy sort of color to do the teeth in there. So I'll just restate this shadow. I've got the nostrils and this sort of little, there we are. You see how you have to keep restating as you work. Going back over. Right, I don't think you're going to need 5 minutes. Actually, I think my poor mother needs a rest. It doesn't look anything like her at all. Yeah. And there's a, just the badge to put in. And across. And then you go in that dark behind it. Yeah, she's not bad. Yes, the chin is hopelessly wrong, actually. Yeah, whatever. But the steps, however well or badly you succeed, and however pleased or not you are with it, the steps are there, right? So you place the image on the paper, do the very outside basic outline of the whole thing, and try to get it right, Then you separate the hair from the face, and you put in the central axis wherever it is, depending on your portrait. Just put dots where you think the features are, the eyes, the bottom of the nose, the line of the mouth. Then divide the light and shade, then go back and define the features, define the shadows, work on the halftones. And if you work on the halftones logically, which I didn't, because I panicked, right? What you do is you do put the halftones on the bottom of the face, and then on the middle of the face, and then on the top of the face. Then after that, you go back and define the lights, putting them bottom, middle, and top. And if you take it logically like that, and you're not demonstrating to a whole crowd of people, you will probably find that you get a decent portrait. Number 10, define the lights. So you define the lights by going again from the lower third. For instance, if I thought about it, her chin is actually catching the light. So I could make that a bit lighter there. And she's definitely catching the light on the top of her, in the middle of the face here. And on this side here. So that's sort of, and again, you catch a bit of light there on the face. The peak is catching a bit of light, so there's the dark line underneath, and then there's a bit of sort of mid-tone there, just above it, and then you get that really light bit, which goes round there and fades off as it goes in, and then you get this badge here. Yeah, she's laughing. Yeah, she's laughing. But when you come to do the teeth, don't draw in each tooth. Look at the shape they are, the shape they make with the dark patch underneath. If you see teeth, I mean, you mightn't have teeth. And look at the line of the top lip. Top lip will be darker, which I haven't done, I made it lighter. Top lip will be dark because it's casting in, it's in a shadow. It bends down away from the light. So you get more that sort of shape. Anyway, there we are. Quit passing about, Joe. At least it's a person.